So, guys, welcome back to Q's Hot Takes, and I have a special guest on the line with me today. I have my guy Ruff from Timeout Sports. Ruff, how you doing today, bro?
Keith, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, bro. Can't wait to talk about these games today with you, predict some games, and just have some fun today, bro. All right, so the first game we're going to pick is Florida State. They'll be visiting Wake Forest this week, and I don't know if you saw it, but Florida State, they had quite the experience Saturday night, losing at the buzzer. Did you see that one, bro? How they lost the game?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. It can't happen, really can't.
If you guys missed it, I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna let you hear how things ended. And this is Florida State's radio network calling the last play of the game. This was crazy. All right.
First down right now. They still got a chance, I guess, to call the timeout to try to get their kicking team out there.
Six seconds. Here's the snap. Throwing the deep bomb down the far sideline. Caught ball at the 10-yard line to the 5-yard line.
Are you serious?
Jacksonville State with no time left.
I just said keep everything in front of you.
The Gamecocks have taken the lead and will win this ball game, 20-17. And
the funny part about that was when he threw the headset at about the 28-second mark, he was like, "I'm done with this."
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Like
that's what can't happen in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't have like 10 people on the goal line. I don't know why they looked like they were playing man to man. I don't know what they were doing. And the bad part about that is they paid them $400,000 for that game, and then they lose like that, man. But
it don't get any better than that. You get the paycheck and the win.
Yeah, I said in one of my group chats, I would have wrote them a bad check after losing like that.
I'm sure they already got that money.
I'm pretty sure they did, but I'm taking Wake Forest in that game. Florida State, they're just a hot mess right now, and I think Wake Forest will get their second straight win over Florida State. How about you, bro?
You know what? I'm agreeing with you on that one. I'm gonna go with Wake Forest. I think it'll be competitive though. Because Florida State will want to kind of make up for last week's collapse, and so it wouldn't shock me if they won. But I'm gonna take Wake Forest also.
Yeah, and I like how Mackenzie Milton, he came back after that gruesome leg injury he had in 2018. It was so good to see him play again. And so, yeah, I expect Wake Forest to win that one. Next, we have Alabama going to the Swamp and playing Florida. I got Alabama. I just think they're going to be a little too much for Florida. They're just too deep all over the board, and I think they'll win a close game. I think Florida keep it close, but I think Alabama will just pull away late because they just have a little too much.
Yeah, I agree. Alabama is still Alabama, man. It's like every year they can lose all kinds of NFL players, NFL talent, and they still regroup and come back strong. And so I agree with you on that. I would think that Alabama will win probably by, I'd say, around 10 to 13 points.
I can see that too. I know it's going to be a raucous crowd, and this is going to be a great college football environment in the Swamp Saturday. But yeah, Alabama, they're just going to be a little too much. The next game we're going to pick is Jackson State. They're going to Louisiana Monroe. This is the first time these teams have ever met. I'm taking Jackson State. They look legit. The defense, they're the truth. Shador running the show. He looked really good last week. The first week, I think it was nerves, and Florida A&M, they had a really good defense. But I just think Jackson State, they're going to make a statement and beat a Sun Belt team. So I got Jackson State here. How about you?
I'm going with Jackson State as well, man. I just think that the job that Coach Sanders is doing with those guys, you can see every week they're getting more and more confident. They're seeming more and more poised. And like you said, Shador played a great game last week. I mean, was pushing 400 yards. If they hadn't been winning, by a good margin, he would have probably got 400 yards. Sure. And so I think that Jackson State is a team that has a lot of potential to continue to grow, continue to get that chemistry. And what Coach Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State for HBCUs is amazing. Sure. Just drawing that attention, drawing the awareness, and getting more support for HBCUs. It's great, man. I really commend him, and I'm excited about the future.
Me too. I love it. We're having, seems like a lot more HBCU games on ESPN, whether it's ESPN3, regular ESPN, or I know the MEAC, a lot of their games are on ESPN Plus. So, anything, can help. So I just love that. And I love what he's doing. And I like how he was talking about, he likes having the guys having their last name on the back of the jerseys, and how he was trying to push that because that's important to some people and their family. So that's just really dope what he's doing down there at Jackson State, and I just can't wait to see where he takes it. And I'm gonna show y'all the video that he had in the locker room before their Florida A&M game. Let me pull it up.
I don't take none of this for granted because I believe in each and every one of y'all. That's why you're on this trip. I do not take any moments for granted, our relationships for granted, because I want you to be men and go out there and change the world. And we have the opportunity. All these cameras are exposure. All these people came to see y'all put on. So right now, what time is it? It's time. It's game time. It's game time. Fellas, I believe in you, man. I believe in you. And you know how I always end it. Now give me my theme music. Oh!
Yeah, man. So that's just amazing what Coach Prime is building at Jackson State. And yeah, I just love it. I can't wait to see where he's going to take that. And, just seeing videos like that, it just seems like he's building something really special at Jackson State. And I'm looking forward to it in a couple of weeks, them and Alabama A&M facing off. I just think that's going to be a really great game. So I look forward to that in a couple of weeks. And
it's going to be a good one.
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
Just said it's going to be a good one.
For sure. Akil Glass, Alabama A&M's quarterback, he's probably one of the best HBCU prospects. I'm glad he came back this year, and I think that's going to be a barn burner in a couple weeks. So the game that I'm really looking forward to the most this weekend is Winston-Salem State traveling up I-40 East, going to Durham, and playing North Carolina Central. It's the first time they played since 2010. This game is long overdue. I'm so glad that we got this matchup. And yeah, I'm picking my Rams. Ram pride all day, baby. I know last week we didn't look so hot. It was our first game in 2 years. We had a lot of penalties, made a lot of mistakes. I think the key is we got to sustain drives, and when we get in the red zone, finishing them off with touchdowns instead of field goals. And I just think we can't leave our defense out there for too long, because I think that's been a problem for the last couple of years. The defense, they can only do so much. The offense needs to step up big. Dominique Graves and Cameron Lewis, they just need to ball out and, just keep this team in it and, just, help out the defense where the defense doesn't have to do it all by themselves. So I'm picking the Rams, and let's go Rams, baby. Ruff, how about you, bro?
Yes, sir. It's going to be a great game. Like you said, we're going to have to shore up some things. Red zone efficiency is very important. The difference between the field goal and the touchdown is major because, when you're kicking field goals, for one, you have a greater chance of not even getting a field goal. I mean, you can have a blocked field goal. You can just have a miss. And at the end of the day, you just need touchdowns in order to be successful. Like you said, we have got to cut down on the penalties. With just too many careless penalties in last week's matchup. And
11 for 82 yards. That's too much.
Yeah, if we do those things, I think we can be successful. Defense, though, is going to be our calling card. I think that's the side of the ball that are going to have to lead the way, make some plays, turnovers, sacks. All of those things are going to be needed in order for the Rams to get a victory. But like you said, Ram pride, I'm going with the Rams as well.
Yes, sir.
We just got to bounce back, man. We got to take this game seriously and go down there to Central and show them that we belong.
Yes, sir. We got to get that check and beat them too. I saw in the
Yes,
paper
sir.
yesterday we're gonna get 60,000 for this game, so it'd be real sweet if we get a victory with it too. So
Yes.
the first matchup we're gonna pick is the New York Giants. They're visiting the Washington football team on Thursday Night Football. So how do you see that game going?
I'm going with the Washington football team. I believe that our defense, the Washington football team defense, will make more plays, get more pressure, uh, kind of force some turnovers. Daniel Jones, if you get to him early and often, you can create fumbles, you can create interceptions. And so I think the defense will lead the way for Washington. I think that the offense will play a little bit better than they did on week one. Terry McLaurin needs to be more utilized. He needs to be more involved. Um, Antonio Gibson continue to make plays both in the running game and the passing game. And if they do that, I think the Washington football team will get the win.
Yeah, I also have Washington winning. I think their defense is going to want to give a better performance than they did last week because they didn't look so hot against the Chargers. And I think they got to get off the field on third down. You can't let a team go 14 out of 19. That's just ridiculous. And I think their offense is going to play better. I think they'll lean on the running game with Heineke starting this week. So I definitely expect the defense to play better, and I have Washington winning as well. All right, so the next game we're gonna pick is the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Chicago Bears. I got the Bengals winning. I just think the Bears, they're just not looking so great. I feel like that they should run the ball a little more because they would like get a big gain on the ground and then they would get the pass. And I feel like they should have stuck with their running game a little more. But I think the Bengals will win a close game in Chicago.
Yeah, I got the Bengals as well. I think that Joe Burrow showed some, great things in week one. Jamar Chase was able to put those, fumbles behind them or drop passes behind them and make a couple plays. I like what Joe Mixon was able to do in week one, both in the passing game and running the ball. So I'm going with the Bengals as well. I think in Chicago, like you said, they didn't look good in week one. Andy Dalton leaves a lot to be desired at this point of his career. And then when you're missing a guy like Tariq Cohen, that's a playmaker that you don't have. I just think it's a lot of pressure being put on the Bears defense. And I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to go and get a win.
Yeah, I don't know when Tariq Cohen is coming back, but they definitely miss a guy like that where you can just give it to him out the backfield, or he can give you a spark in the punting game, stuff like that. So they definitely miss a guy like that, and I just think their offensive line isn't that great, so it puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So that's another thing that hurts them.
Yes, Tariq is going to miss the first 6 weeks at least.
I figured so. Didn't he have like a torn ACL or something like that?
I think it was ACL, yes. But he's on, I think they call it short-term IR.
Yeah.
And he will miss at least the first 6 weeks. So
Yeah,
it's not good for them.
Yeah, I was thinking about picking him up in fantasy, but I knew he wouldn't be available to start the season. So, next we have the Houston Texans visiting the Cleveland Browns. I did not expect the Texans to look as good as they did last week. I'll be honest. I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but looked like they may surprise some people this year. Tyrod Taylor looked like he was motivated and wanted to prove to everybody he can be a starting quarterback in this league. But I just think the Browns, they're just going to be a little ticked off because they didn't finish the job in Kansas City. They kind of collapsed in that second half once the pressure got on them. And I think they're just going to lean on that run game and then get it to Jarvis and Schwartz. He impressed me last week. He had some big plays. And I think the Browns will win. This may be close, but I think the Browns will win this game.
I have the Cleveland Browns as well. I think that the defense will be able to get to Tyrod a little bit. Maybe get some sacks and maybe create a turnover or two. Like you said, what he was able to do in week one was impressive. I've always been of the mindset that Tyrod Taylor is not, he's not a great quarterback by any means, but he's serviceable. And if he's put in the right position, he can do some things. But like you said, the Cleveland Browns have one of the most talented rosters in football. When you talk about, a good quarterback in Baker Mayfield who's around middle of the pack, but you have 2 running backs that are very good in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. a good wide receiving core who's missing Odell, but we'll be back. And I would assume in maybe week 3 or week 4.
I hope so.
And then you have tight ends like Austin Hooper and you have David Njoku. I mean, they have a great roster. Defensively, you have Myles Garrett, who is one of the best in the league. You have Jadeveon Clowney, who's got something to prove, finally healthy. He's a friend of my family, and so I know a little bit about him and how he's struggled with being healthy and dealing with injuries, but he's finally healthy, and I think he's going to prove some things this year. So like you said, man, I just think the Cleveland Browns are going to be too much for Houston and Tyrod Taylor. I think the Browns will win by maybe 7 to 10 points.
Yeah, I can see that too. But I think Houston, I think they're going to still, show up and it'll be competitive. But I think, like you said, the Browns just have a little too much for them. So next, we got the Los Angeles Rams visiting the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, they didn't look so hot to me last week. That was surprising. Their defense gave up a lot of big plays. I thought their defense was a lot better than that. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Rams. I know they're going to the East Coast, so that could be a little troubling. But the Rams, they look like the real deal. And they look like a complete team. So I think Matthew Stafford will be able to, get some of those big plays like Russ had last week. And then the defense with Jalen Ramsey on the back end, they're moving him around. So you can't just, not go to that side. He's all over the place. So I think that's going to cause the Colts problems. And I think the Rams will win by a touchdown.
I'm in agreement. I'm going with the Rams in that game as well. I think Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback who's now got a lot of weapons around him. And the Rams, like you said, they have a great defense. So I'm going with the Rams as well. I didn't really like what I saw by the Colts either. A whole lot of check downs, dinking and dunking. You got to be able to move the ball down the field, especially when you get in third down situations. And even on first and second down, because when you're able to move the ball and get, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, then it makes you for manageable downs. And so I just didn't think that the Colts looked very good in game 1. Doesn't mean they won't be a decent team this year, but I'm going with the Rams as well to, build on what they were able to do in week 1.
For sure. I wonder if Carson Wentz is all the way healthy. That could be a thing, coming back from that foot injury, maybe that's why they were dinking and dunking and stuff like that. So we have to see. We have the Buffalo Bills visiting the Miami Dolphins. The Bills, I was really disappointed that they choked that game away last week. I don't know why they tried to pass it so much because, every time they ran the ball, they were getting a decent amount of rush yards. So I don't know why they tried to put everything on Josh Allen's shoulders. In Miami, they went into New England and got a big win. Really a defensive struggle. Tua, he looked decent. He kind of forced the interception that he shouldn't have thrown. But I'm taking the Bills here. I just can't see them going 0-2 with everybody thinking they could be a Super Bowl contender. I think they'll be more balanced this week, hopefully, and hopefully they won't try to make Josh Allen throw it 60 times. So I got the Bills in a very close game in Miami.
I'm going with the Buffalo Bills as well. We're in agreement on a lot of things so far. Josh Allen, they got to be careful about rushing him so much.
Yeah, that's
because
dangerous.
they're going to end up running him into the ground if they continue to have him rush the ball so much and do all of this scrambling. They need to run the ball, but run it with your running backs. Devin Singletary, like we said, he had a good game. I mean, he was making some very effective runs, but they would not go to him.
It makes sense.
You have to be balanced in the NFL. Unless you have Patrick Mahomes, I mean, you need to be balanced more times than not to be successful. And so if the Bills don't believe in their running back, they need to sign someone because you're not going to be able to throw the ball 55, 60 times and think you're going to be successful on a week in, week out basis. But I'm going with the Buffalo Bills as well.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense because you're playing into the Steelers' strength, which is their pass rush. So you passing all those times, you're gonna get your quarterback hurt potentially. Next, we have the New England Patriots visiting the New York Jets. I'm taking the Patriots here. I also don't see them going 0-2, and the Jets, they didn't look so hot last week. They look good. They kind of made it a game late, but they really didn't look good. And I think Belichick is going to really confuse Zach Wilson, with some blitzes and stuff like that. So I think Mac Jones and that offense, I feel like they'll bounce back. They'll play a lot better. Hopefully they open up the playbook a little more for them this week. And I think the Patriots will win a very closely contested game in New York.
Yeah, I'm going with the Patriots as well. I thought in week 1 that they looked pretty good, actually. Mac Jones did not look like the moment was too big for him, but they got to take better care of the football. That fumble, I mean, that was costly. You can't fumble that football in the fourth quarter and you have a chance to take the lead. So if they take better care of the football, I think they'll be in business. They're going to need to run the football as well, like we said about the Bills. That's one of the things that should be your strength. J.J. Taylor, Stevenson. They look like they're going to be able to run the football, so they're going to need to do that. And if they do, I believe they'll be able to get a win in week 2.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed in the preseason. Their running back depth is ridiculous. So I think they just need to lean on that and try not to, put so much on the rookie's plate. And I think they'll get the win. All right. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by what the Eagles did because the Falcons, they just, every time you expect something of them, they just let you down. So we'll find out how good they are this week against a very good 49ers team. I think the 49ers are going to lean on their run game, and I think they'll win a close game in Philadelphia. I mean, the Eagles, they look good. They tried to get it to their athletes quickly and, just let them get in open space and do what they do. So, but I think the 49ers, like I said, will win a close game. How about you, bro?
I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers as well. I think that they'll just be too much for the Eagles in the end. Like you said, get it to your playmakers. Deebo Samuel, week 1, had a phenomenal game. His career best, 189 yards, I believe, receiving.
Something like
that.
So
Deebo was dominant in week 1. And I think he'll be able to be effective again in week 2. I think the 49ers defense will find ways to 49ers come away with the win. Like you said, in a close game, probably 6 to 7 points.
Yeah, I think we'll find out how good this Eagles team is. This is a good little test for them early in the season. I don't think they'll have as easy as a time as they did against the sorry Falcons defense. So I think the 49ers will give them a much better test.
The Falcons defense is just horrible. It's been horrible for like the last 3 or 4 years. So, you can't really take them and say, oh, wow, well, Jalen Hurts is going to be an MVP candidate this year out for that one game.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't want to spend no money on that side of the ball. It's like they want to outscore everybody. And I was surprised the offense only scored 6 points. I was expecting it to be a shootout. I had said that last week on my show. If you like offense, I thought that game was going to be up and down. But the Falcons, they only scored 6 points. I didn't watch the game, but I heard they were getting a lot of pressure on Matt Ryan and disrupting their offense. So about the Las Vegas Raiders visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was surprised that the Raiders won at home, but that crowd was just electric. And that was just a great game on Monday Night Football. It didn't look like it was going to be good, but it really picked up late in the second half, and they made a game of it. But I think the Steelers will win a very close game. I think they'll get after Derek Carr. But I think the key for the Raiders is use your run game. You don't want Derek Carr passing too much because you'll let the Steelers edge rushers potentially get home, but I have the Steelers winning in a very close game. How about you, bro?
I agree. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. I think it's going to be potentially one of the best games in week 2. I just think that their defense, like you said, will get to Derek Carr a little bit and cause some havoc. I think, like you said, the Raiders need to run the football more. I think Josh Jacobs in week 1 was a little bit gimpy. They said he's dealing with some kind of injury, and I think he was sick. Yes. So maybe that's why they didn't really want to run him or use him a lot. But they're going to need to definitely use him more in week 2 against the Steelers if they want a chance to win the football game. Also, another thing that I would say for the Raiders is we know that Darren Waller is a beast. We know that he's one of the better tight ends in football. But when you force feed a guy, you mess up the rhythm of your whole entire team. I mean, 19 targets. I think he might have had 11 targets after the first quarter. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
And
crazy.
so you got to spread the ball around and not be so predictable. So if they do that, they'll have a chance to win. But I'm going with Pittsburgh. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great game, though, and it could very well go either way.
Yeah, I'm assuming because it was his birthday. I guess that's why Derek Carr was throwing him all those balls. But they just have too many other weapons for him just to be force feeding it like that to Waller. I think he ended up with 19 targets. So if you started him in fantasy, I guess that was a good night for you. I think he came down with about 10 or 11 of those. So they have some great weapons. I think that, like you said, this is going to be one of the better games of week 2. But I think the Steelers at home, I think they'll build off that big win in Buffalo. So, yeah. Now we have the New Orleans Saints visiting the Carolina Panthers. I think the Saints will win this one. I think it'll be another close game. I could see a low scoring, low 20s type of game. I think both defenses will really keep things where it won't get too out of hand scoring wise. And I think the Saints, I think they'll just be able to get after Sam Darnold and really limit Christian McCaffrey. And I think they'll get a close divisional win on the road. How about you?
You know what, man? I agree with that pretty much. I think that what Jameis Winston was able to do in week 1 was very impressive. But for me, I know that he's capable of being great. Jameis Winston, talent-wise, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But the question has been for years is, will he value the football? Will he understand that you can throw the ball out of bounds? Sometimes you even have to take a sack. But what you don't want to do is put the ball in harm's way by turning it over and having those interceptions and fumbles that he had his last year starting. So if Jameis can continue to take care of the football and make wise decisions, the Saints will be decent. We know that Alvin Kamara is one of the better weapons in the league when you talk about being able to run the football and catch it. I mean, he can easily have 100 yards on the ground and 100 receiving. Um, so the Saints were very impressive in week 1, and I look forward to seeing if they're able to keep that up in game 2. I think their defense will need to figure out how to minimize Christian McCaffrey because he's a guy that can also get 100 yards receiving and 100 yards rushing. So I think that they'll scheme and figure out how they can kind of make everybody but him beat them. And I think the Saints will get a close win.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on in New Orleans, but a lot of their offensive coaches, tested positive for COVID, and their status for the game is up in the air. So I hope everything is okay in New Orleans. I hope that doesn't spread, because that's really crazy how they've had all those coaches test positive this week. But yeah, Kamara and McCaffrey, two of the best do it all running backs in the league. Get your popcorn ready because they can do it all. So that's gonna be a fun matchup. But like I said, I think the Saints will win a close game. Next, we have the Denver Broncos visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm taking the Broncos here. I just think they're going to be a little too much for Trevor Lawrence in his home debut. I noticed last week he was trying to go for the big plays, and I noticed a lot he had like the running back on like a dump or something like that. He should have took that instead of forcing it, and I feel like he would have been much better off. But I think he's going to have another rough week against a very talented Broncos defense, and I think on offense they'll be able to do whatever they want because I don't think Jacksonville is not very good on defense. So I expect Teddy Bridgewater in that offense with all the weapons that they have to have a field day, and I expect them to win by at least 3 touchdowns.
Wow. 3 touchdowns. Wow. So I don't think that they're going to beat them that badly, but I do have the Broncos winning. I think maybe 10 to 13 points. Jerry Jeudy did get injured in last week's game, and so he would not be available. That could hurt them some, but you still have Fant, you still have Hamler, you still have some more weapons. So I think that, like you said, Teddy Bridgewater will be able to do enough for the Denver Broncos to get the win. And he's one of those quarterbacks that it's not gonna necessarily wow you, but more times than not, he just makes good, smart decisions. He makes good passes. Doesn't try to do too much. And with them having the weapons that they do and the defense that they do, Von Miller, I mean, you have guys that can make plays on the defensive side of the ball that will try to get to Trevor Lawrence and make his job hard. I'm going with the Denver Broncos, like I said, by maybe 10 to 13 points.
And also, I think Bradley Chubb is going to be back this week. So good luck, Trevor Lawrence. You're going to have him coming at you from the other side. So woo, it's going to be a long day for Trevor. So we're going to go to our 4 o'clock games now. First one we have up is the Minnesota Vikings visiting the Arizona Cardinals. This one's pretty easy for me. I'm taking the Cardinals. They look really good on offense. And I think the Vikings will have a hard time dealing with J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, who was just a maniac last week. He had 5 sacks. I think he had some fumbles too. He was just playing possessed last week. And I think the Vikings will have a hard time dealing with Kyler Murray. And they'll also have a hard time dealing with that defense. So I think the Cardinals will win by at least 10 to 14 points.
I'm going with the Cardinals as well. I think that, getting J.J. Watt, who's not going to give you, crazy stats at this point of his career, but he's a guy that's still capable of making a play here and a play there and helping the team win. Chandler Jones, like you said, is a man on a mission. It was reported that he wanted to be traded in the offseason, but he has shown up to work and been professional. And like you said, had a massive game 1. I think that he'll have another good game in game 2. And Kyler Murray, one of the most dynamic players in football. I think he's on a mission to prove people that he is a great quarterback and that, he can sustain consistency. Because last year, if you all remember, Kyler started off very hot. The Cardinals started off good, and then he injured his shoulder. And I don't believe that Kyler Murray was ever the same. And then they went down from there. But I think if he could stay healthy, that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be a team. They're going to be a problem. You have A.J. Green, who's used to be a great receiver, who I think can still make a few plays, maybe give you 3 or 4 catches a game, 50-something yards. That's just another guy that's been there, done that. And I think the Cardinals will be too much in this game, and they'll get a win.
Yeah, I think the addition of J.J. Watt makes it where you can't double or triple team Chandler Jones because you got that monster on the other side. So, and DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's going to have 100 yards easy on this Vikings secondary. And maybe A.J. Green has a breakout game because I don't think he had a big game numbers wise. But the Titans, I saw Kyler Murray look like he was playing with kids out there. He was just running away from the Titan defenders. It was just really sad that they couldn't get no pressure on him. So, yeah, I think the Cardinals will win this one easily. Another one that I'm very confident in is the Atlanta Falcons visiting the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks, they just got on offense. They got weapons galore. AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, OJ Howard, Cameron Brate. We didn't see much of them in week 1. And then you got Rob Gronkowski. And then on that defense, Sue, Vita Vea, Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, Levante Davis. Lord, they just got a little too much for the Falcons. I think the Falcons will get smacked again this week. I think they'll lose by at least 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning that game also. Not going to say by 4 touchdowns, not even 3. I'm going to have respect for the Falcons and say they kind of show up, and it's at least a competitive game through 3 quarters. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers by 10 to 14 points. Like you said, the Falcons defense is terrible, so I believe that Tom Brady and all of those weapons that you have in a Antonio Brown and a Gronk, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Ronald Jones, will be able to be effective. Ronald Jones is a guy, though, that's going to have to take care of the football. He's going to start again this week, and he's just got to stop fumbling the football. He's got to take better care of the football. And if he does that, then the Buccaneers have a great chance of being successful, not only this week, but again this season.
Yeah, because I'm afraid he may be in the doghouse a little bit because it seems like every time he gets in the game, he has a turnover. But I think Tom Brady will be able to sit back there and just scan the field all day, and he'll just be able to throw a big party on them. So I would start Tom Brady if you have him in your fantasy football team. Now here we go. Now we're getting ready to talk about my Dallas Cowboys versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I want to pick my Cowboys so bad, but we got a lot of injuries this week. Lyle Collins didn't show up for his drug test, so we won't have him to protect Dak. And I just don't know how we're going to going to cover the Chargers' weapons. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, he was running his mouth this morning. He's going to pay for that. But yeah, he was running his mouth a little too much this morning. We're going to have to do something with him. But yeah, I know on offense, I know we're going to be able to move the ball up and down the field on them if we can protect Dak. I feel like Zeke's going to have to be on that side where Collins would have been, helping out the right tackle, Terrence Steele, because he's not that great. Me and you could get past him. He's that bad. So I feel like because Zeke did a great job in the blitz pickup last week. So I feel like he's going to have to help out on his college roommate, Joey Bosa, because if Dak can have time to scan the field, get the ball to Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Wilson, Jarwin, I think he'll have a great day, but I just don't know if that defense will be able to stop Justin Herbert enough. So it pains me to say this, but I'm going with the Chargers. That one hurt.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers as well. I just think that Justin Herbert is going to pick them apart. He's going to do great things, like you said, with the weapons that they have. Austin Eckler is a guy that also can run the ball and catch it. He didn't even have any catches in week 1. I don't expect that to continue.
I don't either.
And so I look for him to do some things out of the backfield against you and against Dallas Cowboys in week 2. And when you talk about the Cowboys, even though Dak Prescott looked very good in week 1, he made some great throws. You need to be able to run the football. You're putting too much pressure on them passing it at the level that they did in week 1. So you're going to have to find ways to get Ezekiel Elliott involved, even Tony Pollard. If they can run the football, especially when you're Dallas in that game and we don't think that your defense can deal with the Chargers, run the football early and often because that'll shorten the game. And that shortens the amount of possessions that Justin Herbert has and opportunities that he has to score on you. So for me, I think that's going to be a good game. I think that the Chargers will win by 6 to 7 points.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed about the Chargers when they played Washington last week, they play their safeties very deep. And I noticed when Washington really, committed to run the ball, they were able to move the Chargers and they were able to, get a decent amount of rush yards. So I don't expect Zeke to have, I think he had 11 for about 33, 36 yards, something like that. I expect him to have at least 20 carries this week and close to 100 yards. And like you said, Tony Pollard, he's just a matchup nightmare out the backfield. He's like a modified version of what McCaffrey and Kamara can give you. He's just the type of guy you just want to find ways to get him the ball and let him just do what he does. So I expect him to do that. And not having Michael Gallup, that's also why I couldn't pick the Cowboys. That's going to be a huge loss. But, it didn't seem like they lost a beat when they lost him. But like you said, I think they just put a little too much pressure on Dak. I think he threw it almost 60 times. So hopefully they don't do that again this week. You have the Tennessee Titans visiting the Seattle Seahawks. I'm taking Seattle here. I know the Titans will play much better this week. They'll look a lot better, but I think Russell Wilson may have 6 touchdowns. He's just going to throw a field day on that horrible defense. I don't know what it is. They can't get pressure on the quarterback, and then their secondary, they let most of their good secondary members go in free agency. I don't understand that when you're already bad, but I think Russ is just going to throw a field day on them, and I think their defense will do enough for them to win this game at home.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about that game. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. Also, like you said, I think Russell Wilson. There's been a whole lot of talk about Westbrook. That's why he's on my mind with his outfits and stuff. But
did you see what Kobe Brown said about him?
Yeah, I don't agree with that necessarily. Because Prime. I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Anyway, topic at hand. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I agree. I think they'll be able to with the win. The Tennessee Titans defense just leaves a lot to be desired. They're pretty weak at every position, and they haven't had a pass rush in a long time. So I just think the Seahawks will be too much. They could win that game by 13 to 14.
I'm thinking 21. I'm thinking 21-28. but I mean, I expect the Titans to play better because their coach, he didn't sound too happy. So this may be a close game, and the Seahawks don't really have a great defense either. So this could be up and down. maybe Julio and A.J. Brown have a big game. Derrick Henry gets 100 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans kind of lean on that run game because they know their defense isn't great at all. So to take a little pressure off them, maybe they would. Like you were saying for the Cowboys, they know their defense isn't great. Maybe take some pressure off that defense and run the ball a little more. So we have to see. Uh, Second to last game that we're going to talk about is the Detroit Lions visiting the Green Bay Packers. This will be our Monday night game. I have no idea why this is a Monday night game, but it seems like every year, just about this is a Monday night game. I'm taking the Packers. They didn't look so hot, but they'll get their mojo back this week against a Lions team who I don't think is that great. They did show fight. Jared Goff tried to do his best Dak Prescott impression. His team was dead to right, and he brought them back just about. But they got dominated in that game, and I think the Packers will win by at least 14 points.
I'm going with the Packers as well. Aaron Rodgers will have something to prove, and he has to make up for that awful performance that he had in Week 1. Detroit Lions just aren't a very good team this year, and I don't expect them to win very many games. So I'm going with the Packers.
Yeah, like you said, Aaron Rodgers. I was surprised. Because I was looking at I think the Chiefs and Browns, and I had went to the ESPN app to see how that game was going, and I saw 17-0. He had threw a couple interceptions. I was like, what the world? And then I saw how it seemed like the Saints were very physical with them. And for whatever reason, whenever a team is physical with them, they just seem to curl up in a ball and just say, I'm done for the day. I don't know why, but that just seemed like that's how they are when a team tries to play physical with them. So, but yeah, they'll win this game easily. And I don't expect it to be very competitive, but it's a divisional game. So you never know with those games. And finally, our game of the week, as you see in my background, is the Ravens stadium. And our game of the week is going to be Kansas City versus the Baltimore Ravens. This is our Sunday night game. I'm taking the Chiefs here. I just don't like what I'm seeing from the Ravens, especially on offense. They can't protect Lamar Jackson. What's his name? Villanueva, however you say his name. He was just god awful, and he was getting Lamar killed. I think he was to blame for the 2 fumbles, because you normally don't see Lamar turn it over like that. But I think Lamar's protection, they got to do something with that, and also his running back. He didn't pick up the blitz, and Lamar got hit, and So I think the Ravens, unfortunately, all the injuries that they've suffered, I think they're going to have a hard time with a very, very high octane offense, very explosive Kansas City team. And I think they'll be able to get pressure on Lamar, and I think it'll be a very close game, but I think the Chiefs will win just because they have a little too much for the Ravens.
Going with Kansas City Chiefs as well, by 7 to 10 points. They started off a little bit slow last week, but they finished strong. And when you have a dynamic offense like theirs, you have to take advantage of, their weakness. When they start off slow, you have to score. Try to get as big of a lead, as big of a gap as you can between you and them. And the Browns didn't do that. And I think the Chiefs will now, add to that game in that second half that they had and win this game against the Ravens. Like you said, Lamar Jackson was not protected at all in Week 1. But I'm also not going to blame the offensive line for his fumbles because he has to be better with the football.
For sure.
Shannon Sharp, Hall of Famer, pointed out in one of the carries that he was trying to run the football, he tried to switch hands with the ball when he was about to get hit. That's not wise because now the ball is very much free. At that point, when you see somebody trying to hit you, you should bring both hands on the football and tuck it as tight as you can, for ball security. So Lamar Jackson definitely deserved blame in that loss as well. He missed about 5 throws that you have to be able to make as a starting quarterback. I'm talking about receivers 6, 7, 8 yards down the field from him and open, and he threw it off the ground a couple of times. So it just can't happen. Overall, I was not happy with what I saw or by the Ravens. Their defense, like you said, they do have injuries on both sides, but they don't look like a team that's going to be very good this year, especially if they can't protect Lamar.
Yeah, and like you said, you better build a big lead when Mahomes and them start off slow, because he's gonna walk you down, and I mean that. And getting Tyron Matthew back this week, and Frank Clark is really gonna help, and I think Frank Clark is gonna give Lamar Jackson nightmares this week. So, uh, thank you for joining me today, Ruff. It was fun picking games with you. Why don't you tell everybody about what you have going on Friday with the Winston-Salem State football players as they get ready for their big matchup against Central, which is one of the best rivalries in HBCU football, and I'm glad we're bringing it back. So I'm gonna let you take over here, bro.
So this Friday, I'll be talking to three of the Winston-Salem State football players, Dominique Graves, Deontay Jones, and Karan Jeter. And we're just going to be on Instagram Live Friday at 3 p.m. That's Timeout Sports with 2 underscores. That's the Instagram that you can be on. And we're just going to discuss, kind of preview the game and maybe talk a little bit about what happened in week 1. And just get the Rams fans excited about the matchup, as I will be in attendance this Saturday for that football game. And I'm looking forward to seeing the team play. Again, you can join us on Instagram at Timeout Sports with 2 underscores. And also make sure to follow my Twitter, Timeout Sports 3. And the WNBA League Fits page is a page that I have, just highlighting the style and the fashion of the ladies in the WNBA. You can follow it on Twitter, Fits_WNBA. Again, the Twitter is Fits_WNBA. And the Instagram is WNBA League Fits. Make sure to follow us on those accounts. And I do expect to have a T-shirt coming out, with those socials on it, just highlighting that and trying to grow that brand. So be on the lookout for that as well. And my personal page is at The Ruff Way, at DARUFFWAY_. That's my personal Twitter. You can find me there, and always down for some sports talk. So
yeah, we really appreciate you joining the show, bro. Like I said, it was fun. And Ram fans, if you don't want to go to Durham and pay the $40 for the game, it'll be on ESPN Plus. I think they have it where you can get a free trial, and if you want to cancel it after the game before they charge you the $5, you can do that. Because I know I have ESPN Plus, so I'm just gonna sit on my cozy couch, eat some wings, and watch the game, and cheer on my Rams, and hopefully we can look a lot better this week. So yes, you can definitely do that. Now, don't quote me on that, but I think you can get a free trial before they start charging you some money for that, and you can cancel it right after the game. So, yeah. So that does it for Keith's Hot Takes, and I'll see you guys again next week. Peace.